Hello, it's Maryon Stewart, and I wanted to come and talk to you this afternoon. I'm a bit later than planned, but I was attending a menopause cafe this afternoon, which was the first time I've done that because I'm in New York and they were in Leeds. So I was able to beam in via Zoom and talk to a group of women in a room, which was really interesting and enjoyable from my perspective too, because I was able to impart lots of information in the space of the time. And they even had time to have their tea in between, so it's given me lots of ideas of how I could do that. And certainly if anybody wants to organise a get-together in your area and you want to invite people to come, I'd be happy to talk about how we could do some more cafes. And it's nice sometimes for women to get together, not just in this group, but physically to get together as well. So it adds another dimension to it. So an interesting journey. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of news this week, because we did, within the group, we did that M-word survey last week, and I saw that they did it on, Lorraine did it on GMTV as well, and I think 91% of her sample said no to the M-word badge. I think it was something like 96% of our group said that too. So I doubt whether you're going to be wearing badges, which is a great relief to everybody, I'm sure. And hopefully no one will suggest it again. We also finished the relationship survey this week as well, which is great. So I will be able to analyse the results of that over the weekend. I've had a sneak peek. I had a look at the survey when it was halfway through, and I have to say the results were absolutely shocking. So I would imagine that there'll be similar results with the big number of women. And I'll be letting you know the results of that soon. Hopefully that we'll be able to use those results to raise awareness so that we can get more help for women going through this life phase. It's really on the agenda now, and the more news we've got about how women are suffering, how relationships are suffering, and how women are not getting the help they need, and their partners don't understand, understandably, because the women themselves don't either, then obviously the more attention we can get for that, the more help you're likely to get, which is great. That's part of the mission as well, to raise awareness. So I also wanted to tell you a few news things going on behind the scenes with us. So we're going to be doing a focus group. We were going to do it on Tuesday this week, but we're just running a bit late because we've been developing this 14-day program, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a minute. So we've decided now we're going to leave the focus group until the Tuesday after Easter. So I think that's the 3rd of April, and it's 7:30 in the evening. But if you want to put that in your diary, if you're interested in joining us, you can email Julie, who works in my team. It's just julie@MaryonStewart.com, and express your interest. But we're also going to have there'll be a way that you can sign up for that as well. And we're going to be inviting a certain number of women to come into this focus group to give us some feedback, because I want to work out how I can help more of you. We've got over 8,500 members, and I'm only helping a fraction of you, and I want that to change. So I need to be able to work out how I can help you better to overcome your symptoms, because there's such confusion in this group at the moment, and honestly it makes me tearful because I can see how women are suffering so badly, and particularly things like anxiety and panic attacks, palpitations, and you're going to the doctor and not even realising it's menopause, and eventually discovering it is the menopause that's causing that. And from my perspective, it's so easy to get those symptoms under control when you have the right tools at your disposal. I developed my boot camp because we had a focus group last year and the women said they wanted help. So the boot camp's doing brilliantly, and it's a 6-week program, but the problem is there is a fee attached to it that is too much for some women, and therefore it's out of reach. And so that's why I've been working on this 14-day program, which will be a great deal cheaper, and we're going to be talking about that more next week, because we're going to be launching it in the group so that you can access it. It's a 14-day self-help program, but it's with very specific instructions. I'm trying to work out a way that I can take you through as a group, I can take you through this program. I've got some other ideas as well, but I want to talk to the focus group and see what their ideas are, and just how to make this more possible so that everybody can get help. That's the goal. There's been some talk in the group this week of people that are perimenopausal, who are wondering if it's normal to have a cyclic feeling, wondering if it's normal, even if they haven't got a period anymore, they're just wondering if it's normal to have the feeling that the period is coming and get cravings maybe and all the other period type symptoms but no bleed. And that is perfectly normal. It does tend to happen for up to 2 years in the perimenopause. You still get this cyclic feeling. And in fact, in your menstruating years, your calorie requirements went up by about 500 calories a day in that week before your period. So you really had a physiological need for more good nutrients, which meant you need to eat wholesome food, little and often. You need to have wholesome snacks, mid-morning and mid-afternoon. You need to keep a constant supply of good nutrients going through to the brain and the nervous system so that you can keep your hormones on track, because you are making a transition from one cycle to another. Your iron levels drop, you've got shortage of things like chromium, magnesium, B vitamins, and all of those things show up in your premenstrual week. So it is normal. You can, if you learn to meet your needs in the way I'm describing, you can overcome all those perimenopausal symptoms, all that PMS type stuff, which seems to get worse as you get into menopause. So if you had PMS, let's say for 3 or 4 days before, suddenly you can find you've got PMS what seems like all month, which is a bit of a nightmare. So, but we can, by getting your nutrients into an optimum range and topping up on naturally occurring estrogen, doing various lifestyle changes and changing your diet around, you can overcome those symptoms. So you don't need to go on suffering like that. And I think that's really important. I just feel so bad about the fact that so many of you are suffering in such a terrible way. It stops your lives, it makes you feel terrible, it does nothing for your self-esteem or your relationships or your confidence in the workplace. And I know that it doesn't have to be that way. And so I'm just really desperately looking for solutions so I can... what I'm finding is, as the group's getting bigger, I've got more and more people asking me questions like, which supplement should I take? And what should I do to handle this, that and the other? And it's really hard for me if I haven't got information about your history to make very specific recommendations, which is why I've put this 14-day program together. I've thought it out really carefully to try and give you the right amount of information that's going to help you, but not information that's going to be potentially harmful in any way, depending on your medical history. I'm looking for other ways that I can help to give you more information, but as you can imagine, I do sit for lots of hours answering questions and making films for the group and doing things and putting information in the files section of the group that I think are going to help you, and it's really difficult for me to do that full time, but I'm doing the best I can, so I just want you to know that. And I did make a list of some of the other symptoms and supplements and things that people have asked about. The shop that's on my website, if you want to order supplements, you can go there, put the code MidlifeSwitch 2017 in, and you will get 10% discount off anything you order. So whether you're ordering omega-7 for vaginal dryness or Femma 45 Plus, the multivitamin and mineral I use on my program to help get your nutrients back into a normal range, or whether you want to order something for your cravings, chromium complex, or something like Promensil, the phytoestrogen-rich supplement, Menopause. I've talked about all these different supplements. The trouble is we lose everything in the thread in the group. I find myself answering the same thing over and over again, which is why I've put the 14-day menopause empowerment program together. So that I'll come back to you and talk about during the week. I think Barbara was finishing that off today, so we'll be launching that in the next few days. And then, as I've said, if you put a note in your diary for Tuesday the 3rd of April, 7:30 in the evening, if you're interested in the focus group. And just trying to think. Oh, the other thing that people were talking about this week in the group, which I wanted to talk about, was cortisol, high cortisol levels, which can make you feel really anxious. So cortisol is our stress hormone, and that can, if it's elevated, which it's easy to be when you've got low levels of nutrients and you're stressed out and trying to function and you can't really function too well, then cortisol levels can rise. And not only does high levels of cortisol give you brain fog, just like menopause, also can give you belly fat and make you feel really, really tired. So it's very important to get your cortisol levels down. And there are easy ways to do that. Obviously, you need to be in good nutritional shape, but you also need to do things that are going to make your heart sing, as opposed to the things that are going to make your heart sink. So you need to be doing lots of relaxation, having massage, laughing out loud, spending time with friends, watching funny films, doing all the things that make you feel good and resisting the things that make you feel bad and helping yourself to cope with the stress, maybe just getting other people to help you as well. But certainly if you've got your nutrients in an optimum range, there are adaptogenic herbs you can take as well to help your body to cope with stress, to bring down your cortisol levels. Things like rhodiola, and again you'll find that in the shop, and ashwagandha, those kind of things. You can't necessarily take those when you're taking antidepressants. And that's the other thing, lots of people have been talking about antidepressants in the group this week, and it breaks my heart because you don't need to be taking antidepressants. Having said that, if you're on them, then you can go on our program. We had one of the women on my boot camp was suicidal 6 weeks ago, and she's been given antidepressants and now is feeling so great that she's weaning off them. And it's really important to understand you don't need to stay on medication in the long term. You can do it naturally. There are plenty of tools that you can use, and it's just really working out what are your worst symptoms and how can we get those under control. Everybody's different, so it's not the same for every single person, and I'm trying to personalize things as much as I can, so hopefully you're going to get some more help. So if you want to give me feedback, then please come and join the focus group. We're going to be inviting some of the people that are on here all the time to the focus group, but anyone's welcome to join. Obviously we can only take a certain number, and we will be giving some free gifts to the people in the focus group as well. So I hope that helps a little bit. I will try and answer some more of your questions during the week. I'll come on again as soon as I'm ready with the 14-day program. It might be tomorrow, but it might not be till Monday or Tuesday, but I will come and touch base with you again. So do keep your questions coming. Please, I hope I've given you some hope in your heart that you can get over your symptoms and that you're going to feel better than you can remember within, let's say, by the summer, because if you get going now, it doesn't take that long. We have got another boot camp starting in a couple of weeks' time after Easter. The 14-day thing you can have access to straight away so you can get going. So hopefully there'll be some help for everybody, and hopefully the rest of your weekend will be good, and I look forward to being in touch with you again very soon. Bye for now.